Hey guys, it's Travis Mortz with the Forest Hill Film Lab again. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about traveling with film. More importantly, taking film on your next vacation. In the past, I've been to a lot of different places in the world, and I've carried digital gear and I've carried film gear, and I've also carried both before. So basically, I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about my feelings on going on vacation with film, what I think is so great about it, and kind of break down some of the advantages of shooting primarily film on your next vacation. So let's get started. Alrighty, so the main reason that I'm making this video is because over the years, I've been to multiple different countries, and I've always decided before I go what cameras to bring, and that's a really, really hard decision to make. And recently, I've seen some posts online about people. It's about every week on the film photographer page, somebody saying, "Hey, I'm going on a trip here. What should I bring with me?" And I always think it's such a difficult question to answer because everybody has their own preferences, but mostly, I'm going to explain to you guys why I like bringing only film on vacation and some of the advantages it has over shooting a digital camera, or, basically over shooting a digital camera. So, I'll just start out from the beginning, a little backstory. In 2008, I went on a trip to China, a 10-day trip to China. I went to Shanghai, Beijing, and a couple other places, and it was an amazing trip, but back then when I went, I was in the peak of my digital photography phase, if you will. And so, going on a trip as a photographer, it almost feels like an assignment. You want to go and you want to document it, but you want to document it differently than everyone else on the trip. Of course we had a group of people to go with, but I was the photographer on the trip. So, when it came down to packing my bag, I had a really tough time. I had a lot of gear and I wanted to bring it all. So, I packed my D700 at the time, and I had an 80 to 200 millimeter zoom lens. It was a 2.8 zoom lens, and it was like probably the best lens I had, so I packed that. Why not? I packed like a 50 millimeter. I packed like this little backup thing that I've shown in a previous video, this card backer upper, because I didn't have a whole lot of memory cards at the time. I brought a tripod with me to China in my suitcase, and it was a lot of work. I got to bring my battery charger and all that. And when I got there, like I said, I felt like I was on assignment. Like I felt like I had to go document China. Like how do you capture China in 10 days? I don't know, but I tried. I tried my ass off. And so ultimately I came home with 1,600 images from that trip. And, I was carrying that backpack every single day. We walked about 10 miles a day, and it was a lot of work, It was heavy. I had this camera bag full of gear on my back. Basically, at the time I didn't realize that I was a walking target with a big low pro bag on my back. And even when I was at Tiananmen Square, there was a specific moment I remember. We were across the street from Tiananmen Square, and all the ladies in the group had to go to the bathroom. And a couple dudes decided to walk them to the bathroom. I didn't have to go to the bathroom, so I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'll stay behind." So I'm sitting there on the sidewalk. I'm 18 years old, and I had my nice big digital camera with the battery grip on it, a big old zoom lens on there for no goddamn reason. And as I'm sitting there, this group of Chinese guys walked by, maybe 6 or 7 of them, and they all stopped dead in their tracks right in front of me and just stare at me. And it had to be the most uncomfortable point of the trip for me because I knew that I was in some sort of danger. I was alone at that point. I had this expensive gear that looked very expensive, and I was just kind of a little bit nervous. I didn't know why they were staring at me. I didn't know what I was going to do if they did anything, but eventually they ended up walking away and everything was fine. But it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, other people noticed this camera too, and I wasn't so discreet. Long story short, I came home with 1,600 images, and when I got home, it was like a lot of work to go through all of them, and it wasn't very exciting for me because all these photos of China I had already seen. I saw them the moment I took them. So the joy and the excitement of reliving my trip wasn't really there for me. Sure, I got to show them to my friends, but none of your friends want to look through 1,600 photos, so they're really just for you. You know, these travel photos are memories for you to remember your trip. And so I went through them. I probably liked 60, 70 of them, and I posted some of them on Flickr. I didn't dump a whole bunch on Flickr, but I put a lot of them on Flickr, some of my favorites. And over the years, the backup hard drive thing that I had crashed and no longer worked. And then the hard drive that I put them all on when I got home has now died and no longer works also. And so those 1,600 photos are gone. Most definitely gone. Like, I've got the only ones I have are the ones that I have on Flickr. And what that means is that a lot of the photos of me and my mom that were taken that I didn't post on Flickr are gone. A lot of the photos of like the little odds and ends things, you know, I saw like a bucket full of frogs for sale. I thought was weird. I took a picture. The picture wasn't an excellent photo, but it was still part of my trip's memory. Those are gone. And so I started to realize, you know, bringing this digital camera and almost looking at my vacation as a job wasn't really capturing the memories of the trip the way I wanted to. I went over there and I was like in work mode for no damn reason. And I came back with so many images that I was unable to manage all of them. And also I didn't appreciate them. Like I said, these were images that weren't surprises to me. Every single time I took a picture of the Great Wall of China, I stared at it. It's like, oh, that's good. Click. Oh, that's good. So when I got home, I didn't have any gifts for me. I didn't get to see them brand new again. And so that's the main reason. That right there, above all, is the number one reason why. We'll put reason number one to shoot film on vacation is because you don't need to see your photos when you're there. You're there. And you know, of course, when we're at home and we're shooting leisurely around our local neighborhood, shooting digital photography is really fun. It's really useful. And you know, you're not taking anything away from your experience by seeing the photo at that moment. But when it comes to going to a foreign place and seeing all these sights and sounds that you've never seen before, when you have that work mentality of shooting and shooting and shooting endlessly all day, you actually don't take it in. You know, you don't take in the environment around you at the time because you're shooting. And then when you get home, back home to America, and you get to look at those images, you also don't get the enjoyment of reliving that experience that you missed because these are photos you've already seen. So, like I said, that's the number one reason to shoot film, is because when I go on a trip and I only shoot film, I get to be disconnected from my camera. You know, I could walk through the streets with a 35 millimeter camera and I could see the frogs in the bucket and click it. Just click, just one photo, and I don't have to think about it again. I don't have to worry about that photo until I get home. And you know what? By the time I get home, it'll probably be a week or two later, and I will have forgotten about those frogs completely. And I'll get to re-enjoy that experience when I develop my film and I go, oh my goodness, I forgot I shot this one, I forgot I shot this one, and I forgot I shot this one, because these are all photos I've never seen. And so that, for me, specifically when traveling, is the most rewarding part, is actually being able to look forward to my trip's photographs, because I have not seen them yet. And another reason, we're going to talk about the second bullet point. The amount of work that goes into bringing the digital camera, it means that you have to charge your batteries every night. It means that you have to make sure your memory cards are backed up. It means that you have to make sure that your digital camera is safe from people stealing it, because it is a valuable camera. And you know, all these reasons are hurdles that you have to overcome. So the first time I went to Sweden, I brought my Hasselblad and I brought my Fuji X Pro 1. I decided I'm not going to bring just... Oh, and I also brought my Nikon D3. See, I wasn't really out yet. I wasn't really quite grasping the concept. So I brought my Nikon D3 for all those professional shots I needed. I brought my X Pro 1 for all the street candid shots I needed. And then I brought my Hasselblad for the really special stuff. And so when I got to Europe, you know, we get to the hotel room and I realize, this D3 is so heavy. Carrying it around the streets is very obvious and intrusive to people, I'm going to leave this back behind. I'm going to bring the X Pro 1 and my Hasselblad. So now I've brought a camera that I didn't even use. I didn't use the D3 my whole first trip to Sweden. I don't know why I brought it. It was cumbersome. It was heavy. It was something I had to carry and worry about for no damn reason. And so I brought my X Pro 1 and I carry it in my jacket pocket and I do snapshots, and it was cool. But like I said, there's no excitement because I was seeing the photos right then and there. I was experiencing the atmosphere around me through an LCD screen, which takes away from your vacation experience, and then it also takes away from your photography experience when you get home. So it's a kind of a lose-lose. And ultimately, what happened was, I went to Fotografiska, which was it's a photo gallery there, a museum. And when I walked up, there was it said Robert Frank. And the way that the dates are in Sweden, they're like in a different order than we're used to. So the way I read it was, oh, it's not, the show's not going on right now. It's coming soon. So we go inside, and oh my God, the Robert Frank show was in the gallery. The Americans were plastered on the wall. All of his bodies of work. He had Rolling Stones photos in there. He had photos from his book Flamingo. He had, like, it was a full body of work from Robert Frank in this museum. And here I am, looking at hand-printed photos from Robert Frank, the Americans, and it was so inspiring, like so exciting. And when I left that building, it was raining outside, and I just put my X Pro 1 in my backpack, and I decided it's time to shoot my Hasselblad. This is the time. I'm so fucking inspired that it's Hasselblad time. And I started shooting the streets on my Hasselblad. And I started to realize that less really is more. I didn't need to be shooting every damn person that walked by. I didn't need to be spraying and praying and hoping for that good shot, because you know what? I'm on vacation. I don't need to be working. Yeah, I'm going to carry a camera around. Of course, I'm a photographer. I want to capture the scenes around me. But I don't need to worry about them right now. I can just shoot it and then deal with it later. And so because of that, my photographs started getting better and better on that trip, and I realized that by the time I got home, my most favorite photographs were the ones shot with my Hasselblad. And then I realized, well, shit, why did I bring those other two cameras? The experience I got from shooting my Hasselblad was by far the greatest. And it was very, very eye-opening to me. That moment, leaving that museum after seeing Robert Frank's photos and realizing, hey, Robert Frank didn't see these photos when he shot them. Robert Frank was on vacation when he was shooting the Americans. Robert Frank's not even from America. So when he shot that series, he was me. He was a guy in a foreign country shooting the sights around him on a film camera. And the quality of his images showed through because he wasn't shooting 5 of this person. And he wasn't overdoing it. He was just shooting what came to him and what felt best. So that's the key right there. Is less is more. When you're on vacation, you want to relax. You don't need to be worrying about charging batteries, and you don't need to be worrying about backing up memory cards, and you don't need to be worrying about, oh, did I get the shot, or oh, is the exposure good? Because now you're starting to live your experience through your LCD screen, and then by the time you get home, you realize, shit, I didn't embrace that country while I was there, because I wanted to make photographs, and then now that I'm home, I'm not getting any new photographs that I haven't seen, so there's not a whole lot of reward to it. And so an example from that trip is that we were in the Swedish countryside. I loaded up my camera with some slide film, my Hasselblad, and I left the digital at home because we were just kind of driving around my family's house for the day. I didn't think much of it. And we came up to this castle, this old Swedish castle that was built in like the 1600s. And there was a wedding going on, and but it was still like a touristy spot, so we were able to be there. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is such a great opportunity. So I see the bride and groom, and I shoot one frame with my Hasselblad, and then right when I got there, they're going into the church to go get married. So I shoot one of them, and then next thing I know, their back's turned to me and they're walking into the building. I shoot a second frame, and that's all I needed to shoot. And those 2 photos. Oh my God, you guys, I was so excited to see those photos. I anticipated seeing those photos all trip long because they were special. They were true moments captured on film that I had to look forward to, and I got to look forward to. You know, to go home and actually have to send this film out and wait for the photos to get back and see that I nailed it. I got the photos. I got the shot. I ultimately, while I was there, I talked to like the DJ, got the names of the bride and groom because they were out in the church getting married. And I was able to send them these photos shot on a Swedish Hasselblad in the Swedish countryside on slide film. And I realized I didn't need 10 of those. I didn't need 15 of those. I didn't need to be there so intrusively shooting my X Pro 1 or my D3, for God's sake. I was able to just be there a little bit more naturally and just shoot a frame or two. And I still gathered, I still captured exactly what I wanted to capture from that scene. So that's kind of when I realized that, you know, maybe I don't need to be bringing these digital cameras with me. Maybe it was ruining my experience. Another point on that trip, I brought the digital camera out to this indoor museum, this boat museum, and I turn it on, and my battery's dead. And so now I was carrying a camera around all fucking day with a dead battery, and I realized at that moment, wow, having a camera here with no batteries is like absolute freedom. You can just bring this Hasselblad with you, a couple rolls of film, and you never have to worry about anything. You never have to worry about it not working. You never have to worry about it not making images. You never have to worry about the card being corrupt or the battery dying or dropping it and the screen breaking. None of that. You don't have to worry about that. And that was so freeing for me. So after that trip, I somehow got in contact with Hasselblad. I told them a little bit about my journey, about how I shot Sweden on film. And they invited me to the Hasselblad factory. And they wrote a story about me. They wrote a full story about me documenting my Swedish heritage with the Hasselblad, how I brought my grandfather's ashes back to Sweden. And then I realized, wow, people actually value these Hasselblad photos more just like I do. And people actually notice that, you know, shooting less is more. I didn't need to be out there with my D3. I'm glad I wasn't. I'm glad I left it in the bag most of the time. So the next trip I was invited to go visit the Hasselblad factory, and of course I had to do that. So we went to Gothenburg. And this time I decided, hell, I don't need to bring these battery suckers. I don't need to bring these computers with me. I'm going to bring my Hasselblad. So I brought a Hasselblad with me. I bought a little Konica Hexar AF, which was my little street shooter. Basically replaced my X Pro 1. It took a little watch battery that stayed alive the whole trip. And I was able to shoot freely just the same way. But I was really capturing light on film. You know, I've said this in a past video, but you guys might not have heard me say it. But, you know, in that scene from Saving Private Ryan, that guy's collecting dirt from Omaha Beach. And the guy's like, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I collect dirt from every war I'm in. And he had this satchel with all these jars of dirt. Like, why would he even be carrying the dirt with him on this trip? I don't know. But just that scene in itself really resonated with me. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing when I'm shooting film in a foreign country. I'm capturing that country's light on film. I'm saving it for a moment. And I get to bring that film home. And I get to develop it at home. And then that Swedish light comes to fruition. And I get to see that Swedish countryside again. And I get to experience that Swedish countryside for the first time in an image at home. And I get to see all the photos that I forgot about, and I get to really, really get excited about my trip. And I get to go, oh, I remember this. I totally forgot I took this picture. Oh my goodness, I nailed focus on that one. What an accomplishment. And it's almost like a second gift that you get when your trip's over, because, you know, the end of a vacation's the saddest part. So once you get home, you get this rejuvenation. You get to see your whole trip all at one time, completely brand new. And truly, there's nothing like it. There's nothing better. So, you know, we went to the Hasselblad factory, and my buddy Cody shot only film. My girlfriend brought her Rolleiflex. She shot only film. She took 2 pictures of us in front of the Hasselblad factory. One of them's my profile photo now. And that's all we need. We don't need 1,000. We don't need 1,600 goddamn photos from China. Why? Why did I take 1,600 photos in China? I only have not even 10% of them left. My film photos, I have all of them left. All of them. They're in a binder. I could go pull up these Swedish slides right now that I'm telling you about. And because of that, that is the reason why. Because we don't get to go across the world very often. Some of us may only do it once or twice in our life. I might not ever go to China again. I didn't really enjoy the trip that much. It was a little bit too much culture shock for me. I didn't feel very comfortable in my surroundings. I might not go back. And because I might not go back, those memories can never ever be recreated. I can never re-photograph that bucket of frogs I saw. I can never re-photograph the 15-year-old military kids there. I don't have that chance again. And because of that, I wish I would have brought film with me so I could still have something. I could still have some sort of tangible memory of my trip to China. So next week I'm going on a trip to the Grand Tetons, like I mentioned in my last video, and Yellowstone. I'm going to be, doing a little road trip. And like I said, I'm going to be shooting film. That's all I shoot. It's pretty much standard for me now. But, I want to go and I want to make something that I can bring back, and I want to look forward to the photos. I don't need to see them right then. I don't need to take a picture of the Tetons and then look at my screen and see it. I'm looking at the damn Tetons right now. I'm seeing them in all of their glory, and I can see the photo when I get home. It'll be a win-win. It'll be a surprise when I get home. I'll actually get to see the Tetons on film for the first time when I'm not there. And I like that. I really do enjoy the fact that I don't need to be looking at the screen all day and double checking and guessing checking and seeing how I'm doing. A lot of people are worried about maybe the reliability of film. Is it going to work for me? What if I mess up? But you really won't. I mean, you don't mess up when you're at home, and you're not going to mess up when you're overseas. Like, film is light sensitive. The light over there is the same as the light over here, and you're going to get images. And that's all the more reason to do a little bit of learning before you go, or maybe just bring a camera that does a lot of the work for you. Hell, you could bring a disposable with you, and because of the tangibility of film, you'll be able to bring back memories, real memories. Like, when I go to different countries, I don't buy souvenirs. Why would I buy souvenirs? Like, I don't need to buy a magnet for my fridge with a Swedish flag on it. Like, I've got pages of images from Sweden. Like, hey, I went to Sweden, check it out. Like, here's some slides. It's awesome. It's so awesome to be able to show my kids, like, put them on a light table and just have my kids look at them. Ultimately, that's like my driving force. Like, why am I taking these pictures? Not everybody's going to see every photo I take. You guys see maybe 10-15% of the photos I take. And so they really are for me. Like, my images are for me, and your guys' images are for you. So because they're for you, you don't need to, like, take a big old camera over there and, like, be working your ass off. Like, you're on vacation. Relax. And so that's the reason why I'm making this video. I want to share with you guys kind of what I've discovered over the years, that, hey, traveling with nothing but film cameras is relaxing. It's like I don't have to feel like I'm working. And on my last trip, I went through stages where I was feeling a little bit like unmotivated. When I was in Budapest, me and my buddy Cody, kind of had a discussion that we were just not feeling very driven. I was like kind of in a funk. I wanted to be shooting more film, and I wasn't. And I still kind of had that feeling inside me of, like, I'm not doing enough, But thankfully, I didn't have all my photos in front of me to tell me that. I didn't have a memory card that said 100 photos taken, and I didn't have the ability to scroll back through all my photos every single night and relive my day. So because of that, I didn't really have a true grasp on how much work I had actually done. I didn't have a true grasp on how good my photos actually were. So when I got home and developed them, I was very happy with the amount of work I did. I was very pleased with the results I got, and I didn't feel that way at all afterwards. Once I got back and got my images, I was excited for every single one because they were all fresh and brand new to me. I didn't need to see the images while I was there. I didn't need to be looking at the back of the camera the whole time I was on a trip. I was able to be engaged in the scene the whole time. So I'm going to show you guys a couple photos from some of my travels just to kind of prove to you that film is a reliable way to capture your memories. Film is a reliable way to document your vacation. It always has been, and it always will be. It's light sensitive. It's always light sensitive. It's not going to stop being light sensitive because you left the house. Like it always works. So take a look at some of my photos from the various countries I've been to. I've been to Sweden, Denmark, Prague, Czech Republic, Germany, Austria. I'll put a little bit of everything in here so you guys can kind of see. This is what I got to see when I got home. This is what I got to look forward to. These are the photos that I didn't get to see while I was there, and you know what? It worked out for me still. Like, the photos still came out excellent. I still captured my memories the same way, and I didn't come home with 1,600 photos that I was going to lose in a couple years. So take a look at some of these photos, and when we come back, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about traveling with film itself, actually going somewhere with film. So now that you guys have seen some of those photos, you can start to understand my excitement. I mean, to be able to come home and see these images for the first time is quite literally the best. It's almost as good as seeing these sites for the first time in person when I was actually in the country, but I get to come home and see the work I did, see how good I did, and it's truly the most rewarding feeling when you get to, develop a roll of film and see this stretch of memories. I mean, I shot, like I said, I was feeling kind of unmotivated, and so in one of my cameras, my Hasselblad, I didn't really shoot it that much on my last trip. It was kind of clunky, and I was enjoying shooting 35mm, and so when I came home, I had one roll of film that had 3 different countries on it, and so, because it took me that long to shoot a roll, but I'm not mad about it. I didn't need more than that, apparently. Nothing struck me enough to have to photograph it, and because of that, I got to ride my bike around these countries and take it all in and really enjoy my vacation. I wasn't at work. Why would you be at work? You're on vacation. So, the one thing that I gotta tell you guys is everybody asks, well, what about traveling with film? What about X-rays and airports and all that shit? And let me tell you, it sucks. It really does suck. It's like kind of a nightmare because you never know what to expect. So for me, the way I travel is I put all of my film in a big Ziploc freezer bag, and I usually keep it on the side of my backpack. I travel just with a backpack, cameras on the bottom, clothes on the top, film on the side. So the way I do it is I have it in a big Ziploc freezer bag, all easy to see. I go to the airport a little bit early, and I ask them very politely, can you please hand check this? This is photographic film. I don't want it to go through the X-ray machine. Sometimes they'll fight with you, and they'll say, oh, if it's not, if it's below 1600 ISO, it's okay. Well, it's not, because you don't want your film going through the X-ray here and there and here and there and then accumulating all this radiation. So what I do is, before I go, always buy yourself a roll of Delta 3200 and throw it in the bag. So then, and leave the box on it too. Leave the box on the 3200. So then when they give you that shit, when they say, hey, if it's not blah, 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 I say, look, I have 3200 in here. It's too high. You can't scan it. And in America, they're really, really cool about it. Like, they're totally fine. Oakland Airport even has signs up. If you have photographic film, please let us know and we'll hand check it. So, it was so awesome when I saw that sign. When I got to Sweden, they're pretty cool about it. Copenhagen's kind of rude about it, but they'll do it. They'll hand check it. Austria, Germany, they will not hand check your film. They will most definitely make you put it through the X-ray. They're assholes about it. There's nothing you can do about it. But you know what? It went through the X-ray one time on both of my trips. Nothing happened to my film because I was diligent about, not letting it happen as much as possible. I will say that is the biggest pain about shooting film on a trip. It is the small price you have to pay. But you know what? Going through the X-ray machine isn't your vacation. That's the airport. That's part of traveling, and traveling sucks. So it's one thing you have to deal with. What I usually do is I pack that bag so much. I bring 35 or 40 rolls of film. I make sure that there's so much film in that bag that when these TSA agents see it, they've never seen that much film in one place, and they go, oh my goodness, like this guy means business, we'll scan it. Because when you've got 2 or 3 rolls, it's hard to take you seriously, unfortunately, and they'll push you around. So that's my tip. Put a roll of 3200 in your bag. Make sure you have a clear Ziploc baggie so they can see it all. My buddy Cody travels with a lead bag. I feel like it should work, but it doesn't, because they don't want you putting stuff in a lead bag through the X-ray machine. They'll just take it right out. They'll take it out and they'll scan it anyways. And once you have the lead bag, you're basically giving them permission to scan your film through the X-ray machine. And once you hand it to them, they do whatever the fuck they want with it. So I really like to travel with a gallon Ziploc bag, and I kind of make it very known from the start, hey, you cannot scan this. Please, please, please hand check it. Sometimes they wipe it down with like this ballistic wipes to see if you have bomb residue on it or something. I don't know what the hell they think we're doing. I don't know. I can't imagine. I think one guy told me that I could be putting explosives inside of my 35 millimeter canisters with like the leader sticking out. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, please help me out. You know, you've seen film before. Like I said, you know, there are some difficulties when traveling with film. That's to be expected. I mean, there's some difficulties traveling with digital cameras. You don't want them to get dropped. You don't want them to get stolen. You don't want the batteries to die. You don't want your memory card to crash. You don't want any of that shit. So, anyways, I really just wanted to like kind of make this video to share with you guys the benefits of traveling with film. Go on vacation, you know, go relax, go enjoy your trip. Bring a point and shoot. Bring a disposable camera. Bring something that will save your memories on film for later, because you might not ever go to that country again, and you also might regret losing those images if you do lose them. You know, the best part about today is that we've got these cell phones that are really great. They take great photos and they're connected to the internet. So if you really, really need that instant gratification, if you really need to see the photo right now on your screen, and you really need to send it to your friend, you really already have the perfect tool for that anyways. This is the perfect digital camera to have in your pocket, because all the photos are saved right on it, and you don't have to worry about losing them. You could send them to a buddy while you're there. You could post them on Instagram, and then in the meantime, you could be shooting your film camera, making lifelong images, making lifelong memories of your trip, and being able to share those with your friends later when you get home. And then you actually have something to be proud of. You made something. You could have fucked up and you didn't, and because of that, it's just more rewarding. It truly is. So, anyways, I think that's enough for me. I think I probably got my point across. Go on vacation, be on vacation, shoot some film, and don't think so much. You're not at work. You don't need to be out there firing away, you know, 150 photos a day. Like, there's just no reason for it. You just go walk around, take 25 photos in a day, and call it good. Or take none. Go on vacation and leave your camera in the room for all I care. But go on vacation. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I got some film to develop. I got some packing to do for my Tetons trip. And like I said, if I'm going to share any photos with you guys while I'm there, it'll probably be from my cell phone. And I'll probably, you know, have a bunch of photos to share when I get back. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and keep on shooting.